Hello, hello.
How's it
Hey,
going?
hey. Good, how are you?
Pretty good. What was with the the sound effects on the last track?
I missed them. Were they pretty cool or something?
I know, it sounded like Stellaris was playing like Call of Duty or something.
She's allowed to have a good time.
Yeah. It might have just been part of the track, I don't know.
Yo, yo. Oh, it's dog cats. What can we call you, John?
Either way, either way.
Just been having fun playing around with my Blender files.
Yeah, you gonna post something?
I did. My little took me about 5 minutes to pose my little guy with his plunger. So he's off to battle.
Yeah, David told me that because we've got David's plunger gang. I'm now bomber squad. Chasing tails, don't kill me. You're in there.
Traitor.
So we need an ASM representative for Holy Order of Donuts and any of the other alliances. We got to have our representatives in there.
I did want to make it mandatory for all ASM employees to be plunger gang, but HR said I couldn't do that.
I didn't get lucky enough to get a gourmet, so I would be donut, but I can't be.
We can get you donut.
Let's go.
You can be donut. Holy Order of Donut.
All right, let's kick Sal off.
See ya.
Bye, Sal.
See you, Sal.
All right. Display still filtering in a few. Let's maybe give it a little bit more.
We've got Hal here again today, and John.
Hey, what's up?
So happy to have you back.
I'm like brimming with leaky alpha over here, and
Oh, God.
I'm not actually allowed to post in the ASM Leaks channel, so it's just gonna have to be next AMA.
Wait, what?
I'll give you permission.
Hang on a minute.
We can change that.
Suss these permissions, Nova.
I got you.
There we go. We almost had a riot on our hands. Cool. All right. I think it's a good point to get started. So we've got a bit to get through today. I'm excited about this one, to be honest. We've got first of all, I wanted to introduce John and give him a chance to introduce himself. He popped on briefly, I think, on the last AMA, but didn't really have a chance to get to know you guys. So he's heading up the tokenomics side of everything that we're doing. So working directly with Delphi and 4RC on designing the tokenomics for the ASTO token, which is a super important thing to get correct. And he's been working on the LVA stuff directly. And I'll sort of hand it over to him to do a little introduction.
Sure, absolutely. Thanks, David.
All right.
Great to be with you all today. So my background is in data science. So over the past 10 years, I've probably built thousands of different models across a number of different industries. So, a company like ASM that's focusing on AI and ML, it was a very natural fit for me. And when, David and Hal invited me to join the team, I was absolutely thrilled by the opportunity. So, more than anything, I enjoy breaking down complex systems, really understanding all those different dynamics, how different parties and groups interact with these systems. So, I've really been passionate about diving into the tokenomics and working very closely with Delphi, and very excited to break down more of the tokenomics today. I know there's been a lot of great questions in the Discord, and we've been able to answer some of those, but hopefully we'll be able to answer more of those today too. So very nice to be with you all today.
Awesome. Thanks, bro. Really excited to have you as part of the team. John's been around in Altered State Machine since really early on, and has been working closely on a bunch of things within his area of expertise. And yeah, if you have any questions specifically on the tokenomics, he's your man. He's the one who's the deepest in it, for sure.
We had to really prod John yesterday to talk himself up and actually talk about what he's done and what his background is. you did well, bro.
Thanks, Ed.
He's been John's official role is our principal of data science and tokenomics, and he's been doing an awesome job on the tokenomics side of things, just bossing it. Super excited to see that roll out over the next little while, and all your hard work coming to fruition.
Cool. Right, so what should we kick off with today? Maybe I'll go through the transparency stuff I mentioned on the podcast I did, odd fishing podcast I did on Thursday. I think that's probably a good start. So we use a framework called Agile for our planning and execution of tasks that we need to do, and maybe Hal can probably go through and explain sort of high level what Agile is. I know a lot of you will be familiar with it. It's kind of industry standard. But those who don't work in the sort of tech industry might not sort of be familiar with it yet. And one thing that we want to do, which is a little bit of a bold experiment, but we want to start exposing that agile pipeline to our community directly, so that you can see exactly what our engineers and design teams and everybody is working on in sort of two week blocks of time. And this will help inform you what the timelines of things are coming down the roadmap, what we're working on at the time, and sort of give you a clearer picture of sort of release schedules and that sort of stuff, and also the kind of work that goes into building these things. So we're going to have, we're going to have a page up on the Altered State Machine website that is going to expose this. It's going to be updated every 2 weeks at the end of each sprint, and you'll be able to see and ask questions about the different components going on. So we'll probably time our AMAs with those at the end of those sprints, so that if we've got any questions once the website's updated, then we can talk to you about them every fortnight from these AMAs. So we'll see how that goes. We can tune it as we go along, expose more information or less information, or see where the sort of the comfortable medium lands for everyone. Yeah, it'll be great to have that better dialogue between our community on what's been developed. So I think Carmen can post or has posted sweet screenshot of the what's going to be released. I think probably next week. Does anybody want to correct me on that?
I believe that's right, but I'll confirm that with the team.
Cool.
Sorry, David, I was just going to say before you finished up, like, this is a really important sort of step forward for us in terms of how we integrate with the community, and without getting into sort of, the boring sort of ins and outs of, software delivery methodologies like Agile, it basically allows us to be reactive to the change in the needs of our stakeholders. And we have lots of stakeholders. Our whole community are very invested in what we're doing. And so it allows us to be agile and responsive and start to incorporate community feedback and be more responsive to community as we build this thing together. And all of your input and awesome creativity and law can be incorporated, and our teams can move and be agile and reactive and deliver on that vision.
Yeah, and if you look at some of these, so these categories, these are sort of quite high level of what's going on, and then underneath each one of these blocks, there'll be a whole bunch of tasks that get assigned to different engineers to focus on. So this is kind of the high level view. If you were to zoom back down, you would see a whole bunch of like individual tasks that get checked off as they go through them, which make up that sort of high level epic. Would this be kind of epic level, Hal?
Yeah, it should be. It should be
Yeah.
those larger deliverable items that sort of directly reflect big features and pieces that are coming out of product.
Cool. Awesome. So if you've got any questions about this, we'll endeavour to answer them. Some of them will need, probably in-depth explanations from the engineers, like Hal and stuff. I think any of the really technical stuff we'll save for the AMAs at the end of each sprint, where we can really dive into them and answer any questions about what's going on. Cool. Right. So what else have we got? Hal, did you want to did you have something to say? I don't know. Was there something that you wanted to talk to everyone about?
I've been brimming about this for a little while now, and we've been going through a bit of creative and product work around this stuff. And I finally got the thumbs up to share a little bit of leakiness around what's going on now. Actually,
The suspense is killing us.
I know.
hold on, just let me see. Just
He's typing in the leaks channel.
Everyone spam Hal.
Is honestly, Hal is typing in the leaks channel. I wonder what's going on.
Illuminati cut his mic.
okay, I'm back. There should be something in the leaks channel now if you go and have a look. People that have been following the little hints and tips and bits and pieces that I've been dropping over the last little while will probably have a bit of a jump on what's going on here, but there's a bit more to it. This is just a little sneak peek into one aspect of what we're doing, but essentially Genesis brain holders, the first proper utility, has gone into dev properly now, and I'm super amped about it. Essentially, without dropping too much, there's going to be some potentially highly lucrative right brain activity that we're going to be kicking off. And that also involves some 8-legged friends from around the ecosystem, which you'll see in the video. I don't want to get too deep on it, but yeah, we'll be dropping little tidbits about this over the next little while before we ramp up to release the first proper piece of functionality. And yeah, it's gonna be pretty wild. I'm amped about it.
Yeah, very cool. Thank you, Hal. I'm just watching the video right now. I think it's pretty good. So
I was not expecting that.
Yeah, that's really cool. Okay, what else do we have to talk about before we take on questions? We've been talking about a major partnership that we've been working on over the past few months, and we've got some more information to come out about that shortly. But we've signed a partnership with a organization called Authentic Brands Group, ABG, and we're looking to we've been actively building our collab project with them, which more information will come out about in the next few weeks, I believe. So keep your eyes open for that. Right, I think we should kick into some questions, guys.
All right, yeah, if everyone could get their hands up if you have a question, and we'll take them in order. If you don't want to get on the stage to ask a question, you can always ask in the Ask Us Anything channel. However, stage questions come first. Got our first hands up. And just again, if I invite you up before it's your turn, just make sure to mute your microphone. Yo, Conviction Arc, what's up?
Yo, what's up, guys? Really cool to be up here for the first time. I'm a long time lurker. I post sometimes, but I'm just so excited about this project. It's like the coolest NFT project by a huge margin, and you guys are the best. So my question for you is, one thing I don't see asked a lot about or talked a lot about is the patent that you guys have. I'm wondering if there's any updates on that, because that sounds pretty exciting.
Yeah, I can talk to this one. So our key and first patent is pending and complete. We've made a couple of updates to the claims to just hone in on some of the really specific and important parts of what we're doing in the protocol. But probably one of the reasons why we don't talk about patents too much is because we have 3, maybe even 4 in the works early this year to cover some of the other super cool stuff we've got lined up with the protocol as we're discovering new mechanics and new ways to do things. So until those are all locked in and filed, we try and keep it a little bit under wraps.
Awesome. Great. Well, I can't wait to see you guys at South by Southwest, hopefully.
Yeah, I forgot about that. That was the other thing. Yeah. We'll be joining the Fluff crew at South by Southwest this year. They're sponsoring one of the major streams there, and we'll be rocking up with them. So hopefully we get to see a bunch of you guys there.
That's really exciting. All right, guys. Thank you so much.
Cool. Thanks, man.
Terminator, I've invited you up, but for now, Bitcoin Hornet, if you could please step into the stage.
Hi, guys. Thank you.
Hey, welcome back.
Yeah, thank you. I'm excited to hear about these vague yet interesting sounding announcements at the beginning. I had a couple questions on couple other topics first. David, I asked you about brain snow in the last call, and I've done some more digging and research, and I had a follow-up question on that. The Zygor scene, you're familiar with the Zygor scene, correct?
I am. Yes, I got one.
So it looks like there's mushrooms growing on top of a brain there, and it looks like there's brain snow flying around on that scene. What's up with that?
I think this might be a question for we've recently hired someone in the communications team who will be working on law specific things like this. So I would expect more stuff to come out around the connection between the projects and how all the little pieces fit together.
Okay.
This guy is so onto it.
It's not just me. It's not just me. As others in the channel are talking about it as well.
I'll just say
Everything's
two
connected.
words: mycelium and the consciousness.
Okay, this is good. I appreciate that. I want to move on to a couple of other quick questions. I don't want to tie up on any one single issue, but thank you for that. David, in the last call, you said you were considering dropping Asto to characters, and you were leaning towards the same amount for every character, regardless of rarity. Is that still the case? Your inclination?
So we haven't finished the modeling on that yet. So I'm hesitant to officially say things. We've got to have John run the numbers to make sure everything lines up. Economics around this sort of stuff is really important, that we don't just arbitrarily do things without modeling out the impact. So I can't officially say that yet, but it will be a reverse claim drop, which is the longer you wait, the more you get. So it's kind of gamified in a way that you've got to pick your moment.
It is the thank you for that. Is the maximum amount, if you wait the longest and you get the maximum amount, how much is that in proportion to what a brain gets?
Yeah, so the the way it's designed, because the token's released over time, it's not all released. All the tokens not released on day one. It's handed out over time, and the way it's going to work out is that our community members will get about 80% of the supply of the token. So you guys will have the overwhelming majority of ASTO tokens when it's launched, and then for the first airdrop that we do for you guys, and then we can do other things later on. But as it stands, about 80% of the supply that's available will be in the hands of community members, which is pretty much all of it. And then over time, other people like early contributors will begin to vest, and more supply will come into the market, and we can do other things like the reverse claim drop for you guys as well to bring more tokens into the market.
Yeah, and
That's great.
Just to briefly follow up on that, so the total amount that we're allocating towards the All Stars will be slightly less than for the brains. However, if you take the comparison of say 4 All Stars and 1 brain, and you also play out the tape and say that you're going to wait the maximum amount of time to claim your All Stars airdrop, in that scenario, for those 4 All Stars, you may well end up with a greater amount of ASTO from the All Stars than from the brain. And that's simply because, if other people drop out earlier on, then that does increase your amount of that particular pool. So even though the total amount that we're allocating to the All Stars is less, you might end up with more if you wait, that maximum amount of time. So that gives you a sense of kind of some of the dynamics. And then, of course, the other big trade-off here is the timing, right? So the great thing about the Genesis Brain airdrop is that you'll be receiving that airdrop, week 1, week 2 of the protocol, which is insane. As David was saying, 80% of the ASTO week 2 of the protocol is going to be in the hands of Genesis Brain holders. So, that's quite something.
That's fantastic. Thank you. And then my last quick question, I don't want to hog up all the time here. I purchased a brain, my 15th brain, this week. And I bought it because it was the number 25 dumbest brain. It was the 25 off 25 away from the least IQ brain. And I bought it based really on rarity. I know you can't speak to exactly what the brains do yet, but I bought it largely on rarity. It's a rare brain if you look at the bell curve. It's an extremely dumb brain. Can you just give us any flavor of whether how that might play out in terms of rarity of a brain?
Yeah. So the rarity that's going to matter is going to be based on performance ultimately. So we'll be able to, the way the spec's written, and how I can probably talk to this a little bit more, is that we can expose the performance of the brains in the situations that they're training in, which will be a better indication for rarity long term. But as far as the brains go, it's interesting to note that they're there to provide constraints to the machine learning, to allow the AI to figure out interesting ways to solve problems. And constraints do interesting things, even if it's take a slow character, for example. It can't perform the same strategy as a fast player, so it might figure out something completely different, some really completely weird way of solving their problem that you would never have thought of that is effective. So the IQ is, whilst it is an indicator of capability, perhaps, not necessarily an indicator of performance.
Got it. Thank you.
No problem.
Hey, Terminator, welcome to the stage.
Hi, ASM team. Thanks for having me on.
No problem.
And doing this AMA. Obviously, like every time we have an AMA, the community is super excited to get to hear insights straight from the team and have some questions answered. The first leak was fantastic by honestly Hal, up with the color combination here with thingies and the paintings, the AI paintings behind. What happens with the unrendered paintings that are white and the thingies that are white as well? Because there's a small percentage of them, but glaringly white, clear, full white background paintings, and some with a couple splatters. Can you mention anything about that and tell us if that's just a rendering issue or if there's something more planned? Thank you.
There's more that goes into generating the got to be step a little bit carefully here. There's more that goes into generating the profile, shall we say, based on thingy attributes than just that art. And so, without sort of digging into the inner workings of how we're actually doing this, it's not just that, should we say, there is more signal going in to the algorithm.
So blank thingies or white thingies, completely white thingies, won't be stupid.
Yeah, they won't
Yep.
be. There's
Lovely.
more signals than just those.
On a follow-up with that, have thingies painted the painting behind them, or have they painted the match to their name, ID match? Is that their painting that they've painted a selfie of their own?
Is it common knowledge about the way that the paintings and furs are distributed, David?
I don't know. Maybe might need to ask a fluff person that one. There's AI involved, and paintings are related to furs and brains. I don't know if you guys know the extent of that yet.
Maybe we'll just hold on those details. But
Yeah.
if you,
Fantastic! That's great, though. That's great. Thanks.
it's all coming. Like just keep your ear to the ground, and we'll be dropping little bits and fleshing out this picture as we go.
Yeah, they're saying in the settled world, yeah, it's common knowledge. We totally know that. I don't believe you guys. Cool.
But basically, the blank ones are quite fun because it's a total surprise. You don't really know what you're going to get.
Well,
Yeah. It actually leans into the other signals, which is interesting. But I'm way overstepping the mark here. I'll just be quiet.
Alrighty. Have we got some more hands raised, or was a kicking ball going to?
Yeah.
Thanks for the question,
Hey,
Terminator. That was awesome.
Thank you, Terminator.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Okay, welcome.
Hey, is the audio coming through?
Yep.
Yeah, we got you.
All right, good deal. So I feel like this has been asked before, but I just can't quite remember. Is there going to come a time to where the brains inside the thingies will be their own separate NFT that we'll be able to view, or is that still under wraps?
The viewing, yes, but the brains inside thingies are can't be decoupled, so they are, and this is going to come out in the lore about how it all sort of fits together, the two worlds. The thingies are tightly related to the brains, and those ones that are in the thingies are part of the thingies.
Yeah, this is a really important distinction, and I think we can talk about this a little bit. This potentially highly lucrative right brain activity that I'm talking about for Genesis brains offers a lot more flexibility and interesting pairing. But with thingies, it's embedded in the thingy, and bound to the characteristics of that particular thingy.
And thank you. One more question. It's kind of getting a little ahead of the game, but with the Seekers T's and Alpha coming out lately, are we still thinking those are going to be included into the ASM brain compatibility, or are they going to be excluded?
That's
No.
way too alpha. Ooh, I really want to talk about this stuff, but I can't.
I just want to say that everything's connected in our ecosystem.
Okay, it makes a lot of sense for some AI to be in some machines. I don't know.
Makes a lot of sense to me. I think, yeah, that's just makes a sense. Yeah.
Extraversive interoperability with the metaverse.
That's a big word.
All right, Chasing Tails, I've invited you up. You just have to accept. And Norma Mailer, I've invited you up too. Hey, Chase.
Hey, Plunger Queen.
Hey
Welcome,
guys.
welcome.
Sorry, I was pushing the wrong button. I have a couple of questions kind of on brains and staking ASTO for brains. And when in that process does the passing on of hereditary AI sort of come into play?
So hereditary AI will come in later down the track after we have some things for your brains to train in, because part of hereditary AI is that they pass down their knowledge and experience to their children. So we need to have them out there learning skills in the first place in order to do that. So the staking for Genesis 2 brains is happening to make sure that we have enough supply of brains in the marketplace to, first of all, service the AFA use case, and then the upcoming use cases that we have as well. So that's the
1 second, baby.
That's the use case for that. But then later on, hereditary AI will come in as a way to pass down knowledge to Genesis brains children, essentially.
So the only part that we're passing down are the learned knowledge and experience, nothing to do with the genome matrix of the brains. Is that right?
Well, no. There's
No.
Yeah, there's a couple of things here, and this is actually a really interesting talking point. So just stop me if I'm going on for ages and ages. But if you imagine a breeding pair of brains, and you imagine that an algorithmic sort of derivative of those two would give it an interesting combination of the abilities of the parents, and then you think about. Sorry, my earphones just died. Can you guys still hear me?
Yep.
Yep.
Cool. So you think about the fact that the parents have learned their skills, their abilities, in the context of they've learned their skills in the context of their abilities, and then essentially rerunning an interleaved version of the parent's training history would then come out with a completely non-deterministic, different outcome, but it would have interesting similarities to the parents, but would be completely non-deterministic, and that's not unlike real life genetics. It's has mutations and wild and wonderful outcomes that you would never expect.
Complex.
So yes, that will be a derivative of the genome matrix of their parents.
Yes.
But the brain will have already been. It's not like you do that to make a brain. You would have already made a Gen 2 brain and then you assign that to it, or is it?
No, so it'll make a new brain.
Oh, make a new brain. Okay, so they're completely different families of brains.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes more sense. And the other thing I was going to ask is, so if you're passing down knowledge and all that kind of thing to the brains, and then you've got your Genesis brains that you've trained up heaps, can you then like almost pass on knowledge to that baby brain, I guess, a second time, or can only be done once?
Can only be done once in the current architecture, but you can make another one if you wanted. So it kind of like once you do it, that's kind of like humans. Like once you've generated a derivative of yourselves, that's done. It's gone off and living its own life now. If you want another one, you want to do it different, then you have to create another derivative of yourself.
Yeah, there's actually some really interesting economic modeling that needs to be done around this. And so the actual details of the constraints of, reproduction, if you will, is, it's still to be decided. We have to make sure that that's properly modeled and has the desired effect on the wider economy.
Yeah.
Cool. And that will all come later after we've actually been sort of playing and training up. So it's not phase 2 sort of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's really important that we get some of the data back from how people are using brains once they're out there playing soccer games and doing other things. What the supply and demand pressures are. We need that data to feed into the model to decide how the breeding, the constraints around the breeding.
Cool. That was it for the minute.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks, Tails. Yeah, Norman, it's your turn.
Sorry about that, yelling my daughter earlier.
It's all good.
Feeding her dinner and trying to catch Alpha at the same time,
It's a hard life.
Hey, my question was kind of really touched on in the previous person. Now, is the full mapping of the brain as far as breeding goes? So if I basically what I'm getting to is if I kind of focus on certain traits for my brains, and then I breed them, those will be heightened in that second brain. But do those original blank traits that I haven't focused on, are they still there? And will they still be able to be brought out? And I know there's second levels of breeding and all that kind of stuff, but I guess you kind of get where I'm diving.
You have kids, right?
Yeah.
Like, I also have kids. When they arrive, you could never have imagined the interesting genetic combination that you ended up with, right? And this process is non-deterministic as well. There's lots of entropy and mutation in it, just like there is in genetics. So you have a higher likelihood of what you're describing, but it's not necessarily true, and you might end up through genetic mutation ending up at a place that is way more cool in a way you'd never imagined. So yeah.
So you're saying I'm going to breed my own boss?
Oh, what was it? Sorry.
I think my headphones just crapped out on me.
We lost you.
So you're saying that if it's just like having my kids, I'm going to breed my own boss and someone tell me what to do all the time.
yeah, basically.
That's what's going to happen.
All right, appreciate it, guys. I'm going to jump.
Thanks, man.
Cheers.
Thanks, Norm. Hey, this way up, I've invited you up to the stage. Just a reminder to get your hands up if you have any questions. We're here for another 20 or so minutes, so get those hands up. Yo, this way up, what's up?
Awesome. Just going to do a quick sound test just to make sure you guys can hear me.
Yes.
Yep, we can hear you. You're a bit quiet, but we can hear you.
Oh, okay then.
That's much better.
Much better. Okay, I'm just going to hold it then. Right, so first off, as a Scrum Master, ex-Scrum Master, as team leader, product owner from an Agile team, love the idea of 100% transparency. I do think you are very, very brave of doing this, by the way.
Thank you.
I haven't met many teams who provide maximum transparency, and I'm assuming are using Scrum or Kanban or something like that.
Hal?
Yeah, you're a little bit muffly, but I think I got the gist of it. So yeah, we're essentially doing like a dual track agile, giving ourselves the ability to take input from community and stakeholders and our own creative processes and do lean iterations to validate and come up with these validated product ideas to then push down into our delivery cycles and through into BAU and support.
Awesome.
But yeah, this is a slightly different scenario to your traditional sort of SaaS company, right? We have stakeholders here that have been here since day one and are highly invested and focused on what we're doing. We have quite a few of them, and all you awesome peeps that turn up here to these AMAs, you are those people. And so we have this whole additional channel of creative input and ideas and guidance and law that we have to incorporate through those lean iterations. And so it's just a really good fit. And we're kind of doing a bit of discovery for the industry in terms of how to do this and how to have these open channels of creativity from a wide group of our community and stakeholders. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I think that's a completely great idea. I've seen too many. Oh, by the way, I've just changed my microphone. I'm just double checking you can actually hear me a bit better.
Yeah.
Okay, much better. Yeah, one of the reasons why I brought up, and it's a really important point, especially when it comes to our current climate, there's been way too many NFT projects that promise the world, doesn't have a plan, fails to execute because they don't have the right team, they don't have the right processes, and they just have an idea. It feels like the ICOs of 2017. But with what you guys are doing, providing a bigger sense of transparency through your processes and whatnot, I'm hoping that industry as a whole will improve. But my real question, now to get super nerdy, being pulled back into the world of more techie stuff, I've actually taken a bit of a deeper dive into the whole AI. I've been trying to work out so many different things. So Hal, what you just said a moment ago, and how it sounds like an evolutionary algorithm network that you're talking about. I do have a question about how do you timestamp memories, what you guys are calling just like the trained experiences, because the way, as I understand it. Yep.
Sorry, go ahead. Continue.
Yeah. So the way I understand it, the neural networks work by having very, very complex statistical models. And going by what you said earlier, David, the way different team members interact with each other kind of generates this sort of randomness to how teams can actually play with each other. So I'm just thinking, is there a possibility of creating like a timestamp of how you train certain team members in certain ways? So for example, in the early stage of your training, you may be telling your team member to be faster, but actually turns out, I'm not too sure how you guys are going to do this, but train them to be a bit more beefier. So you might think, oh, actually, I don't want a really beefy character. I just want a speedy character. Or is it just going forward and you can never go back to a previous version?
Yeah, this is interesting. We can tease apart two really important concepts here, and I sort of talk about them as abilities and skills. And so abilities are the immutable values that we draw from the genome matrix that give what you might think of as like raw talent. So the actual speed, athleticism, the power, etc. These are immutable abilities. The skills is the reinforcement learning model, learning how to be as successful as it can be within the constraints of those immutable abilities. And so when you put these four discrete reinforcement learning models on a field together with an incentive system that incentivizes them into altruistic activities such as assists or good passes that lead to other people assisting and scoring, you get a strategy coming out in this interaction of discrete reinforcement learning models.
Okay, so because I actually been trying to work out whether you guys are using the co-op machine learning in Unity, or whether you're using the older one where it's individually incentivized models.
Yeah, that is actually the way that we're going, is discrete reinforcement learning models that are individually incentivized, but the incentivization system is where the altruistic incentive is.
Ooh, that's interesting. Okay, well, I could go on for ages on this one topic, but I'll
me too.
leave it to somebody else.
I think we'll get some of our more shall we say deep in the weeds AI peeps on one of these AMAs at some point, and we can really give people some time to prepare some questions, and we can deep dive on what we're doing, because it is fascinating. It's really fun to talk about.
Yep. Oh, just one last thing before I go. Yeah, I think there's a load of people probably just sitting in the background, because this is like a perfect opportunity for academics to experiment with certain types of reinforcement learning strategies. I know I'm quite keen to dive in at some point when the second version of distributed learning, machine learning systems are come out for you guys. So yeah, keep going, man. I look forward to it.
Awesome. Thanks, Vic. I just wanted to make a comment on something that I said earlier. So around the supply of ASTO. Just want to make it clear that it was 80% of the available supply that's going to be in the market, not 80% of the total supply. Just for anybody that was confused about that, because we're dropping the ASTO is coming out over a period of time, over a vesting schedule. There will only be a certain amount of ASTO available at any one moment, and it's going to increase over time according to the vesting schedules. And we can only do things like airdrops on ASTO as much as there is available to airdrop at any one moment. Which is the thing that controls how much we can airdrop at any airdrop event, if that makes sense.
Cool. Yeah. Thanks. Thank you, This Way Up. And hey, Bubbles. Welcome to the stage.
Hey guys, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, we can hear you fine.
Awesome. Well, first I just want to say thank you guys for doing these AMAs and for reaching out to the community as much as you guys do. I know that you're all on here like daily, and we appreciate it a lot. It's abnormal for us to be able to contact you guys the way that we do. So I just wanted to give you guys a shout out.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, no worries. We really know how busy you are, so it's awesome that we can get any feedback at all. So my question is maybe a little bit too much, but I was just curious. In regards to training the brains, we know that now we're going to be probably utilizing them for AFA in a gym. But how interactive will the actual training process be? Like, for example, is it going to be just placing it and spending the ASTO, and then a certain amount of time later, the brain has now learned this skill? Or is it something that you interact with? Could you walk away from your computer? Is it like just any information at all about the actual process? Because that's going to be one of the first use cases.
Yeah, so the training we've got a whole bunch of levers and buttons and knobs that we can expose from the machine learning process, and we're going to refine them down to meaningful ones by the time the game's launched. But basically, you're going to have the ability to set up your player for AFA with some sliders and sort of knobs to get it to focus on specific things. Send it off to do that, and then it'll come back and show you the results of that. There are lots of other ways to do it. So we're other projects that we're working on, and other collabs that we're advising on. They're looking at doing things like exposing some of those mechanics at runtime, which is an interesting way of doing it. So you can think of like a simple use case where you reward a little pet, reward or punish a little pet for doing certain behavior as it runs around an environment. And that's a really simple little reinforcement learning interaction. Like you give it a treat, or you tell it off. And that's a really simple interaction. So the availability of things you can do is actually quite broad. But for AFA, we're going to give like some sliders and stuff, so that you get them to focus on certain things and ignore other things in the training process.
Awesome, that's super cool. I was honestly just wondering how exactly what you said, how interactive it would actually be, or if it would just be kind of like staking, where you just kind of, take a walk and then you come back and your brain had trained itself. So that's cool to know. That's all I wanted to ask. I just wanted to thank you guys again for all the things you do, and we're all excited about all of this, not just the token drop. We're excited about the future of the platform as a whole. And hope to see you guys at South by Southwest. I may make it. If so, would love to meet everyone.
Awesome. Yeah. Come into the tents and say hi if you're there. Be cool to see you.
Excellent.
Thanks.
Yeah,
man.
hope
Take
to
care,
see you
guys.
here. Thanks,
Bye.
Bubbles. Yo, Glitchy Boy, what's up? Welcome to the stage.
Hi, gang. How are you all doing?
Hey, good. How are you, bro?
Very good,
hey.
thank you. Stayed up late, especially for my for the team input. I just following up on what AC was saying. Obviously, we've got this massive plunger party at South by Southwest. I just wondered if you had any details on that.
Plunger party.
Yeah,
Hang
is
on,
that not
I
what
missed
it's been branded as? I think in honor of the absentee chasing tails.
Yeah, I think we're gonna have to, right? I don't know. I'm reaching into Carmen's area of the business right now, and and making decisions for her, which is I'm gonna get in trouble
Hell
for. So I'll
yeah.
leave it up to Carmen.
No, Plunger Gang party sounds dope.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Is that?
David,
Do
Lenny,
you
and
know
I will be
roughly
going.
what dates, or do you know roughly what dates it's going to be?
So David, Lenny, and I will be attending for. We've got like an off-site activation with Fluff House and the rest of the ecosystem on the 12th and 13th of March. It's looking like, but we'll do a big post with all the details and confirm those dates for you very soon. It's very exciting. Let's
Can't
talk
wait.
about some plunger stuff in there. Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
And I just wondered, you were obviously talking about the collabs and stuff. I just wondered when we've whether on two different sides, whether there's any the people you're talking to, whether there's any element of them working within the spaces that you're creating, like the arenas, and then secondly, whether any of the collabs you're talking to are looking to work with the All Stars and creating games that work with the characters you've already created.
Short story, yes, that is in our roadmap. And some of the conversations we're having are around specifically the interoperability of many assets within our ecosystem.
Do you want to say any more, or are you happy with that?
So to answer your question, yes, you will see All Stars in other places, other than the football pitch.
Cool.
If that was the question.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, it was a bit pokey. But on the when you talk, I know on one of the podcasts you were talking about, so you explored various different games. With them being called All Stars, at any point did you sort of look at like a Daley Thompson decathlon type experience, and if so, was that good or bad as an experience?
I specifically haven't looked into that. No. The All Stars name came sort of later down the track in the design process. Originally, I think they were called Puckers. I don't know if any of you were around in the early days. That's because the little demo that I made were little like primitive objects that look like hockey pucks. So the first prototype, they were little pucks running around on the field just to show the AI interacting with itself and with other AIs. And it sort of evolved from there. So that's where the original name Puckers came from. But All Stars came a bit later down the track in reference to the AFA game itself.
Cool. And have there been any more conversations about kind of the bosses and the primes and stuff? Because obviously we saw one of the community members kind of lose a prime and then fortunately managed to get that back with help from another one of the community members. I just wondered if there's been any more information that you've given in any other sources about kind of what they're likely to get rewarded with in future potentially.
Yeah, I was meant to mention this. Thanks for reminding me. Yes, so the official word on that is that bosses are getting stadiums. You've already gotten one of them with your bosses.
Yeah.
And
very
each
happily.
stadium, they're getting all unique stadiums. Well, sorry, we're calling them arenas now. They're all getting all unique arenas for that boss type. And I think, Carmen, which ones you've leaked some of the special ones, haven't you?
That was alpha. We haven't announced that yet.
Yeah.
You're too good, glitch boy. Yeah, we've leaked a couple, but we've got quite a few more to leaky leak. I can see Marky Dale's in Settled Worlds. We'll be talking to him next week, so tune in for an arena leak when we do that live unboxing.
Carmen, that's a leak.
Yeah, that's
you leaked
another
on my leak.
You guys.
You already announced it, and he's got Captain Torrance, so
Yeah, Alfred all over my alpha.
Do you want to add a
Sorry.
third derivative on that alpha, anyone?
Yeah, actually, so primes have special stuff coming as well. It'll be a different mechanic, but it's going to be equally as cool.
Awesome. That's really exciting. Okay, I've taken enough of your time, but look forward. I'm going to try and book all my flights, so I look forward to catching up with you in Austin, and we'll try and persuade Chasing Tails to make that 48-hour journey or whatever it is for her.
Oh, wow.
Yay.
Yeah, awesome.
See you there, Glitchy boy.
Cool. Take care.
Also-
Cheers. Bye.
Thanks, guys.
Oh, yeah.
Bye.
I just
Glitch.
realized every time I say glitch boy, because of my accent, it must sound weird to some people. So just so everyone knows, I'm saying glitch boy. Someone just asked Dutch boy ? Kiwi humor.
Yo, I see Ugsu snuck up onto the stage. What's up, my dude?
Hey, how are you guys doing?
Hey.
Good.
Hey, I just a quick question about the training. So, like you mentioned, you may be able to adjust a slider to adjust for certain different things, like maybe speed or defense or whatever. Is there just going to be a flat rate that you pay for training, and that gets distributed based on how you scale where you want it to go? Or like, can you pay more to train faster, or how does that work?
Yeah, this is not the economics around this is not fully locked down, but essentially you pay for the amount of experiences that you're putting your reinforcement learning models through. So it's just about the quantity. The actual selection, you wouldn't select speed, you would more select goal scoring as an incentive. So you'd incentivize one of your all-stars to score goals more, which would organically move them into more of a striker position as you train them to lean towards that incentive. And so the cost of training will just be based on the amount of experience you want to put them through, because that's directly tied to the cost of running the infrastructure.
Okay, awesome, makes sense. And then I had another question about training. So once it does open up and there are other gyms other than the one that you guys have created, will the owner of the gym be able to set the price for that? Or is that will we see basically people trying to ask for more based on a higher level of training? Like, say someone's gym is more successful, are they going to be able to charge more for people to participate in their gym, or is it more based off how much resources the protocol takes?
Yeah, so this is reaching out into the future of the protocol a little bit. So phase 2 of the protocol will decentralize training and inference. And when that becomes decentralized and people are spinning up their own nodes and bringing GPU and training capacity to the network, at that point, it will be a market to be made by the people bringing that capacity. So yeah, you will essentially, the price discovery will happen within that decentralized network.
Awesome. And then just one last thing. Have you guys looked at all, instead of like reinforcement learning, looked into like self-supervised learning at all, or anything like that? Just curious if you guys have played around with it.
We have some insanely talented AI engineers, and let's just say we're playing with a lot of cool stuff.
Awesome. Yeah. Cool. Well, thanks as always, and super excited for what's to come.
And
Thanks,
the thingy stuff was an entirely different type of AI altogether. So that's like an example of a different. Oh, we haven't actually talked about that.
Hold up. Someone patch up David's leakiness.
It's like a metal sieve.
That's actually what my question was all about. It's perfect timing.
Hey, it's Ari gone.
Hey, what's going on?
Welcome.
Hey guys, good to be here. Happy I just moved back to my parents' house, so I can just keep diving into your world. I definitely have a problem. So, God, I had so many questions. I know you're not going to give us anything on thingies, but you guys leaky us out. You just don't, I wanted to get some sort of direct alpha for like, a crew of like 25, 30 fluffs that always are asking me, but I get it. So I wanted to ask you about the interoperability in regards to all of these assets across the interplanetary file system. Like I see you guys teaming up with like Metaportal and ZooDAO. Like, is there going to be, I don't know how far you can dive into like how significant these partnerships are to the fluff ecosystem or not. Because you had said, I think on the last AMA, we don't want to put all our eggs in one basket. So if you can touch on that at all, David.
Yeah, so I can't speak to the specific fluff partnerships. I'll sort of leave that up to them. But the whole point of what we're doing is open interoperability, and we'll both release tools for people to sort of get in and play around with themselves and integrate themselves, and also work very closely with other projects on interoperability and bringing ecosystems together. So there's a couple of approaches there, and I think we're going to start with very highly curated, closely working with projects approach where the integration is really deep. And then as the tools evolve, then it's going to be easier for people just to pick them up and incorporate them in what they're doing. But it is at the very core of what we're doing is open and interoperable.
Okay, awesome. So nothing on the thingies. You guys might hit us with some late thingies action in this AMA. I'm still, I was kidding. I said you might hit us with some late alpha on the thingies after this AMA. But yeah, I'm going to continue to support you guys. I hawk Twitter, and I want everybody to understand what's going on here with AI and you guys. And I just want to comment on the first piece of alpha you shared about being transparent with what you're going to be doing. I'm not a dev or anything, but I can't wait to see it. And like, you guys are really going to make it.
Thank
you guys
you. I
changed
really
my
appreciate
life.
it.
Yeah, you guys like gave me a new hope, and you can see I have 100 Ethereum NFT on here. I could care less about it.
Oh wow!
I mean, you guys are doing. Yeah, I'm blown away, and just your community and this community. It's like this is evolving. Like the experience I had on Web3 with your party bear. It's just like I love you guys. Thank you.
Thank you, Atari God.
Thanks, man. Appreciate
Thanks so much.
Yep.
Hey, Postman. Hey, so we only have a little bit of time left. We're actually going overtime already, so we're just going to take a couple more questions after this. So I'm just going to be letting people up who haven't already been on. Sorry. Hey, Postman.
Hey, team. How's it going?
Good, mate.
Hey.
Thanks for having me up. I'll be quick. Hey, in the spirit of leaks, I know you guys are feeling a bit leaky today. I posted some pictures in Ask Us Anything. There are some car pictures that David and Aaron have been leaking. In one of them, I think I can see the word autopilot. Now, to me, that sounds like it's AI or brain related. Do you guys know anything about that?
I love cars. Me, Aaron, and Jeffrey all love cars a lot, and we try to collect them to the best of our ability. So, without leaking too much of Jeffrey's alpha, we're quite passionate about that project, and we believe in an open, interoperable metaverse where everything's connected.
I'm so excited about this one. Got to say myself.
Yeah, it's really cool.
So dope.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting that Fluff House is at a car museum as well. I don't know if there's anything to do with that.
That is interesting, isn't it? Yeah. Very interesting. Super interested in that.
Very good. Thanks, guys.
All good.
Oh, thanks, Cosmo. Yo, Organic Milk. Welcome to the stage.
Yeah, what's up?
Yo.
Yo.
I'm not sure if you guys covered this already, but can you provide some insight about like how much, I guess, training and games will be like on chain, I guess, and will like we have to pay gas fees for like every sort of like training exercise and like game we play?
Yeah, good question. So for phase one of the protocol, training itself is centralized. So training will happen in the AFA backend. Obviously, the ownership and tradability is decentralized through NFT. But essentially, to answer your question, you don't have to pay any gas to train. The training process will happen in the intelligence mining cluster in the AFA backend, and then the actual output, the trained model that comes out will then be signed and appended to the memory tree and on chain. Yeah.
And then phase 2 is decentralizing that training infrastructure. So
Correct,
the
yeah.
reason why we're doing it in this two-phased approach is that we need to make sure it scales correctly and make sure that the introduction to the game, we don't have to mess around with the messiness of decentralization sometimes has an impact on performance. So we can have a smooth introduction and then slowly decentralize it over a period of time in phase 2.
Yeah, it's important not to underestimate what technical challenges are in that phase 2. Decentralized training and decentralized inference both have some pretty deep math behind the actual consensus around those activities happening on chain. So yeah, that's another really deep topic that we can probably get some of our more in the weeds peeps to jump on and have a technical deep dive around. That would be fun.
Thank you guys. Super excited.
Thanks, mate.
Thanks so much. Hey, don't blink. Welcome to the stage.
Thank you. I'll try to be quick. Hey, love everything you're doing. My wife and I have accumulated a ton of stuff across the whole fluff world, ASM, et cetera. And I got 2 questions. One is I'd love to better understand the breeding. So we got 3 brains, a dozen AFA players. So how does the process work if I'm going to, breed my brains to create more brains? And also, I think you called it spawning before with the AFA players. I've got an assimilated, a chromatic assimilated, et cetera. And can I pass down those traits when trying to spawn them? So I'll leave it with that. Love everything you're doing. Totally engrossed in this stuff. Oh, one last thing. And I would love to figure out, is there a way without having a boss to ever get an arena?
So I'll answer the last one first. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So they won't be exclusive to people with bosses.
Great.
And more details will be released about that specifically. For your first question, so we've got two different breeding mechanics. We've got the brains, and then we've got the all-stars themselves. The brains will have 2 ways of producing more brains. One is the genome mining, which is providing fresh, untrained brains to the marketplace that are an easier access, a lower bar for access for people. And that will be done by staking the ASTO token. The second is the breeding function of the Genesis brains, which allows you to pass down traits to their children and pass down memories and training and experience to the children. And that's going to come later after you've had an opportunity to train them in things. The all-star breeding, so the characters and models, that will be some sort of a mix-up of the 2 breeding pairs, so you can have two that look very similar. They'll have a similar child, but there will be a random element in there as well, which gives us the opportunity to bring in new accessories and new traits and new models and designs into that process as well.
Okay, great. So like if I had 2 assimilated as the parents, I would end up with a child that's still in that family, assimilated, but a mix-up of the traits?
Potentially, yeah. I think it would be a higher chance if they're both assimilated that the child would be assimilated.
Okay, but not
There's a lot of
guaranteed.
math to do around that to figure out the optimum way of doing it, which is in progress.
Okay, great answers. Loved it. Keep it up.
Awesome. Thanks, man. Appreciate the question.
Yep.
Thanks so much, Don't Blink. Hey, Dr. Dazzle. I love that name.
Thanks very much. And thank you for having me up. My question is about configuration. And I feel like this has been answered before, but I just, my biggest fear is that this is all going so well and I'm going to screw it up somehow. So just to make absolutely sure, my recollection of the guidance on configuration is if you want something a certain way, if you have a strong feeling, if you are part of a gang, go for it. I've configured about 4% of my all stars so far. If not, it's okay, and you are not missing out on anything. Do I still have that right?
Yes, that's correct. So your assumption on that is correct. So configuring is not mandatory. We're not missing out on anything by not configuring, and it's just up to personal preference.
Great, thank you. And then just, I guess, as the stewards of the project, right? Besides wanting folks to take advantage or enjoy the features that you've put out there, is there any benefit to the project if more owners of All Stars configure, or are you ambivalent as to whether or not folks actually make use of that feature?
Yeah, I guess ambivalent. I can't imagine any reason why we would want to enforce it at this stage. I can't imagine any scenario where it would be beneficial to force people to configure. Not saying that something couldn't crop up from an idea from the community later down the track that's going to encourage people to configure, but we don't have any pressure from our side to do that.
Great. Very helpful. Really appreciate it. Keep up the magnificent work. Really enjoying it. Thanks, everybody.
Awesome. Thanks, Dr. Dazzle.
Thanks so much, Dr. Dazzle. Hey, T-Lotter. Nice to see you.
Yeah, great to see you guys as well. It's so awesome. I've got a question about the unbox boxes and the Asto drop. Is it advantageous to unbox sooner rather than later in terms of airdrops and earning Asto over the longer term?
So there will become a point where it is advantageous, and that point's not yet, and we'll give plenty of notice about anything like that. So, for instance, the All Stars to claim the All Stars, to claim the brain drop. If you wanted to participate in things like the LBA and the genome mining, you've got to unbox before that. But we will give notice on when those events are happening.
And if you say unbox later rather than sooner, then you do disadvantage yourself.
In those scenarios, if you wanted to participate in those events, yes.
Right. Cool. Thank you.
No problem. It's a pleasure.
No worries. Thanks, T-Lotter.
Awesome.
So that'll wrap up our questions for today. David, John, Hal, do you have any last words that you'd like to say before we wrap up?
Awesome questions today. I've got a little something that I threw together the other night when I was having a jam. I'm not going to say too much about it. I'm just going to drop it into the leaks channel after this. So I've just noticed that a lot of the competitions with all the cool prizes and stuff have been very much centered around creative undertakings, and I wanted to do something that was more for our techier minded and geekier side of our community. So I'm not going to say too much about it, but I'll drop it in leaks after this.
Give him access to the leaks channel and he goes crazy.
I know. What have I done?
Awesome. Well, thank you everybody for coming along, and as per usual, we'll be in and out of the Discord at all days and hours of the day and night. So if you have any follow-up questions, I'm always happy to answer. And the rest of the crew is always around. I can't wait to see what our creative people do with the Blender files that have been released. I've started playing around with some stuff. I'm not an animator by any stretch of the imagination, but it's a lot of fun to play around with. So looking forward to seeing some creations from everyone. And have a good week. And I'll see some of you at South by Southwest by the sounds of it. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, I can't wait to see you guys there. Thanks so much, everyone.
Bye.
Can't wait, guys. Just a
Chisel.
heads up, David. Oh, he's gone. You guys can bombard him about superheroes and settled world.
All right, music time.